but I think what happened was that feedback changed my entire perspective of what coaching, or how powerful coaching was or is.
Hello and welcome to the coaching studio. I'm your host today, Lyssa deHart. I guess I'm your host every day on the coaching studio. But today it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Mel Leow. He is an MCC coach with the International Coaching Federation and my guest today. And I'm super excited to have you here today, Mel. Thank you for being in the studio today.
Wow, it's just a pleasure to speak with you, Lyssa.
Thank you. So you have your own podcast, and I'm gonna definitely have a link to that in everything on the page. But and I know we sort of start off with something a little similar, but I would love to hear a little of like the journey that you took into coaching, like your background and what led you towards becoming a professional coach.
Sure. I'm just gonna keep it short because I could tell this story like in a long version, but my background is actually FMCG marketing, right? So that's fast moving consumer goods. So I work for places like Colgate, Johnson and Johnson, and it was just amazing, right? This whole experience of being able to help a brand grow, it's just, to me, exhilarating. Yeah. And then, fast track that 12 years later, I left my home country, Malaysia, to move over to Melbourne, Australia. And man, there was a big shift on its own. When I reached here, I guess the brain says, just get back into marketing over here and all should be right. But it didn't happen that way. So I went from that to a couple of months looking for a job, and it did not happen. And by then I was, well, panicking a little bit, I guess. I was like, what did I do? Should I have done this and that and everything? And then suddenly something in my mind says, perhaps you could try something else. I have this book today to kind of show you. It's a quick one. It's called Jesus Life Coach. I don't know whether you can see it.
I can.
Yeah, it's written by Laurie Beth Jones. And when I open the sleeve, there is a message from my wife. And I won't read all the mushy stuff, right? But I'll just say, she says, we're going to start a new journey in Australia. Yeah, in every step we'll take, God will guide us, and let's follow his steps and let God be the life coach, in that sense, right? It's kind of strange because I was not a coach then.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of came into my thoughts. I was reading the book, came into my thoughts, and that's when I think I explored. I Googled about coaching, and I'm like, what was this thing all about? And very soon I found myself in a program, and that's how it started, Lyssa. It was out of, I think, desperation on one side. On the other side, I guess, because of that fresh new start, like all of us in our lives do have this fresh perspective when we can turn left one day and then another time perhaps turn right. And I hope at that point of time, this was the right move for myself. So that's how it all started.
Yeah, it's interesting as you are sharing this story, I'm thinking of that saying, let go and let God. and that trust in the universe that,
Yeah.
that maybe it's time for a right turn instead of a left turn, or a left turn instead of a right turn, or maybe the roundabout and go a different direction than you
Yeah.
were ever expecting. What has been the most surprising thing for you about becoming a coach? I mean, that's a pretty significant shift from being in marketing and really getting
Yeah.
organizations like quickly building brands and things like that to becoming a coach.
Well, I didn't know about the entrepreneurial side of things. So that to me, I think would be the most surprising thing. I was often helping organizations in whatever manner. Actually, after my FMCG gig, my last role before coming to Australia was general manager. So I actually managed a company. I worked with people, and you know what? If I think about it, I think that was the best role I've ever had in my entire FMCG career. And that wasn't really FMCG, 100%. It was that working one-on-one with people. So I think that kind of tied in really well. I kind of found that I love that working with people. So the surprising thing, I guess, would be on one side, working with people, but in a different way, right? In managing a company. And this right now, coming from an outside perspective, working with different organizations, different seasons, and still the people connection was key, I guess. But as I said, nothing kind of prepared me for just kind of working on your own limb and fancy. You could do anything, actually, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Right?
I
It's
do.
like
I know.
every day you kind of wake up and you're like, oh, I could do this today. Right? So that I'm still not used to it after 17 years. I'm still not used to like an open diary every day, right? It's like I could do nothing today. And hey, I could be just out on my bike, today and just take care of my well-being and but I think that would be the thing. It's not just the entrepreneurial gig. It's that whole discipline to kind of choose to show up every single day because you want to. Yeah, you want to, and you know what you're doing is making, causing a little bit of a ripple effect in someone else's life. So I think that is also a motivating factor. But hey, nothing prepares you for running your own business. Seriously.
Yeah, no, seriously, I think people very much underestimate the energy requirements and
Yeah.
the things, that discipline that you talk about that's required in order to build your own business. I don't know what your journey from, like, did you start off as an ACC and kind of move through the credentials as you moved towards MCC?
No, actually. In the first
What
couple
did you
of
do?
years, I was not doing coaching full time. So I kind of took my time to get to ACC, actually. But I kind of joined the ICF very early in the game. So after 1 year of being certified, I kind of guessed that I needed to surround myself with my kind, my own tribe, right? So I joined the ICF in 2007, and yeah, I think it was amazing to kind of meet other family members that you never knew you had, and and they talked the same way a little bit, and it's kind of weird. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm sure you've experienced it. It's like, oh, I'm back home, and wherever I am, I guess, around the world, you feel like you're home when you're in an ICF meeting. That's That's how I felt, right? But it kind of it kind of prepared me in one sense, but it didn't kind of rush me towards getting credentialed fast, because I was more focused on my day job. So when I finally, got into coaching, I did get a day job, and I started doing a lot of different jobs. And I went from being a salesperson to again a general manager in a company, and so on and so forth. But I think what was different, Lyssa, is that I started practicing the coaching internally, right? For the very first time, I knew that I was intentionally going to speak to someone and listening and not jumping the queue, adding my 5 cents worth of comments, just taking my time, getting to know someone in a deeper sense. I wouldn't say I was coaching everyone, but I guess I was bringing that language, right, into different conversations in my life and in my family as well. I had growing kids then, and I know what kind of father I was then. I was a very, very strict father, right? Based on my own upbringing, I guess that's the only benchmark I had. And so I did the same with my kids, but I realized that was another way, right? So I started even, practicing coaching when I got reminded of it, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And I do think that if I don't know, if you're doing something that you're passionate about and you're starting to see the positive impact that it has in this area of your life, it makes sense that it might open up the possibility for it to impact this part of your life as well.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I think is I don't know what the word is right this second. Let's see. One of the things that I wonder about often is just sort of how people see that concept of coaching shift through time. And I mean, as you started off, you're a certified coach, but then you made the decision to continue getting credentials and continuing to grow yourself
Yeah.
as a coach
Yeah.
and develop yourself. What really shifted through time that around your understanding of or capacity to be with yourself as and others as coach?
Lots actually. I think number one, I started being more open to feedback. It wasn't all the way my way any longer. It's what's our way, and I think that that was helpful. I would say in the closest relationships that I have. I remember one of the changing, I think the changing points was when I needed to complete a coaching session, a recording, right? And I asked my wife whether she wouldn't mind being the guinea pig, right? And man, didn't expect I will get into that hot seat, because the topic that she brought up was about her husband. That to me has been the toughest conversation since with anybody. Because in that 1 hour, it felt like time stood still, right? And it felt really like an out-of-body experience, because she was talking about the person, but the person was in the room, right? Come on, And I was getting the feedback from this way, and then I had to listen in and understand and try to make sense of where she was coming without feeling that judgment or that bias. It's like that whole concept of withholding it, right? And it was crazy. But I think what happened was that feedback changed my entire perspective of what coaching, or how powerful coaching was or is. And that's just the first thing that happened throughout that journey. I think that whole need for feedback continues, right? When you're working with your mentor coach, you're working with someone more senior to you, and who could kind of tell you the parts of you that, and the parts of your coaching that kind of didn't make sense, right? And could be better, right? Could be better. So that, I think it's the important part of it. It's how open are we to the feedback that we're receiving from all corners of our world, right? I think the smallest feedback is still important to listen to, so I think feedback is just one of the ways that I felt was the kind of catalyst towards my growth. The second, if there is, it's I guess having that I don't know much attitude. It's like, wow, I don't know much at all. And I think when I bring that into a coaching conversation with my clients, truly, I'm saying to myself, I don't know much, and it's not needed for me to know that much, because when I do, you and I know, Lyssa, that we tend to perhaps even respond in a different way. It's like, it's like we're giving signals like that's not the right move to make, so
right, like the very subtle nonverbal cues.
Absolutely. We don't have to say anything, but we're giving it away, right? But when I come with that space of I don't know much, right? It's like that song, right? Don't know much, but I know I love you. And I think
it is sort of like sitting in that space, right?
Absolutely, it is. Perhaps not love, but I know I care for you, right? It's that, and when you, as a coach, truly care for the person in front of you, you want to come into that space truly, as we all say, not knowing.
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful space to be. Yeah.
Yeah. You've said several things that are just really interesting to me. And I'd like to just sort of highlight them. But there's this recognition of our biases that we have, that I heard you talk about, like, and that capacity to be in an open, not knowing space versus that expertise of like, you're not doing it right. And
Yeah.
I'm really curious, like, how did you cultivate that capacity in yourself to be in that state of self-awareness, for a lack of another way of saying it?
That's a good question. I think it's just realizing it on a daily basis, just coming to that space. I think it's like a practice for me every day, waking up saying it's going to be a great adventure, number one. And I don't know what to expect. It's like a little child in the candy store, right? And it's like, wow, everything's beautiful, right? I want everything as well, but you're not going to get everything, but you're dreaming, you're wishing. You're desiring to experience something beautiful, because I think if we bring in those perspectives of ours, right, it just shuts things down. And I've seen that happen through my coaching journey. When I thought the best sessions were the ones that I asked the best questions, at least at the start of my coaching career. I used to have this, I haven't told many people, I used to have this black book, right, with the best.
we're gonna hear, everybody's gonna know now. The
Yeah.
best
Yeah.
questions.
The best questions book, right? And I would like just subtly just look on the side and like, but my eyes are looking at the question like, aha, I got this one. What's stopping you right now? I'm glad I don't do that anymore, and for a long time, because when I did that in those times, and I didn't realize, right, it kind of brought the limelight back on me. It's like it made me feel like the superior one. Like, it's like, oh, here you go, Master Jedi has just spoken. And
Yoda.
Absolutely, right. So I remember one of my mentors even say this. It's like that, who holds the power? It's like the power index, right? It's like when we hold loose to those things, that's when magic happens. And not just once, but quite a few times, when I felt dejected, when I felt that was not a good coaching session, Lyssa, I'm sure you've had that experience before. 2 weeks later, I wish sometimes the client would send me a message immediately, but 2 weeks later, I get this message and saying, that was one of the most, life-changing sessions for me. And I'm like, what? You kidding? That
I didn't even use any of my questions from my book.
That's when I didn't ask any questions that I felt was, you know what I mean? It's just getting away from that, and just resigning ourselves to just be, right? To just be that, as we call it, that thinking partner, that collaborator, that believer in human potential, that rock, I guess, that won't talk back to you. It'll just be there. You can sit on it, right? It's just going to be there. It kind of knows its worth. It's the rock, right? You could rest your feet on it and tie your shoelaces, but it's there. It's there for that purpose. And it's beautiful, and it's not sparkly. You don't need to be that sparkly rock, right? You're just
bedazzled rock. Yeah,
that's it. So
yeah, it's really interesting, because it's like, you don't have to be the candy shop. You don't have to be every sparkly little candy possibility that a client wants. And this really makes me kind of think about that I don't know, evolution that happens where coaches discover that their value is in holding that space and being that rock, to create that safe space for somebody else to do kind of the work, and not the coach themselves to work so hard. When you think about, newer coaches, or coaches who are wanting to move towards MCC, what do you think is important for them to understand? I mean, I think you've been sort of talking about it a bit, kind of in a abstract, maybe a little abstract of a way. I'm wondering if there was something that you would say to somebody who's like, I really want to be an MCC. Like, I want to, not because of MCC so great, but because I really want to go on that journey towards this next stage of development of myself as a coach. What sort of thoughts do you have for them to consider?
So many, Lyssa. I could go anywhere on the business side of things or on the person side of. Um, I think I'll just start by saying, don't take yourself so seriously. And I did at the start, at least. I kind of felt like I was the savior of the room, right? I didn't just do coaching, right? I did facilitation, I did some speaking gigs and strategic leadership team meetings and stuff like that. So did all of that. And sometimes those experiences give you the feel like you're in control back again. But I guess the more I let the people do the work, right? And the less I feel like I've got to build up this and I've got to do this to build my credibility. I mean, all of that is, I guess, important for the growth, because I never stop learning, right? Obviously, and every year I would want to commit myself to learn the science of coaching in a different sense, right? I've learned NLP. I've learned from different wonderful teachers along the way and mentors. I've gone into different programs, and all of that is important, I guess. But it's not like you're going to bring all of that into the room. so we've got to sometimes leave those stuff at the door before we enter. It's like it's going to be with you. It's gonna come out through how you're gonna carry whatever you're doing through, right? If it's one-on-one coaching, and it's going to come out then, but it's not going to come out in that stylistic that you're expecting to bring it out just like how you were taught. So that's what I meant is just don't be too full of yourself. Don't take yourself
too seriously.
Yeah. Because it is that going from ACC, PCC, MCC, after a while, I just forgot to be truthful. I just forgot that I was ever counting hours, to be frank. I just did the work, reflected, asked myself what I learned from it. How could I be better? Every single time, just doing that motion, right? And just getting there. And one fine day, actually, I realized I had enough hours and I wasn't counting. I just said, oh my gosh, we got to do this logbook thing, and I just wanted to update the logbook. That's all, right? I didn't do it for years, right? And I thought, oh, that's bad because now I'm going back to history and finding all it's a pain. And best of all, I got my wife to do it for me, right? It's like, do it. So I didn't, I didn't have to. And then I had, wow, way more than expected. And I was like, that blew me away, seriously. And I guess the more your focus on the person in front of you versus the person that you think you need to be, and so I think that's just one little tip of, as long as you tell yourself you're gonna put all of the effort in improving yourself. So the improving of yourself could be as an entrepreneur or even as a coach. Continuously do that. Be open to all of that shifts. And yet, when we reach the door and begin coaching, kind of forget about all of that and just allow the person in front of you to take lead. Simple as it sounds, but I think that is the soundest advice that I could give any young coach coming in. Just relax, breathe, enjoy yourself in this journey, and don't force yourself to want to get to a place too quickly. It will come. It will come.
You mentioned this idea of self-reflection in your coaching. Like, how I mean, and I'm making an assumption here, so correct my assumption if I'm wrong, but how do you continue to be reflective in your coaching and in the work that you're doing?
I read somewhere that meditation is like prayer. And in some ways, prayer is also like a conversation. You could be thinking sometimes I'm thinking I'm talking to myself because, hey, talking to God or the universe or whatever. That has often been a practice within me. So I constantly talk, and by the way, we constantly talk to ourselves anyway, right? So it's sometimes I just give up of that because it's going nowhere, and I start talking all over, and I guess that's part of the rhythm of what I've been doing for years, right? And then when I'm thinking about how I am a coach and my daily routine as a coach, I'm also thinking of it in different lights, right? In different perspectives. Sometimes a little bit like an observer point of view, that whole perceptual positioning, position
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. So it's that practice of continuously making space for that conversation to happen, not just inside you, but outside of you as well. And I use that time of my walks, which I regularly do, my cycles or whatever, just to be out in nature, and just enjoying that open spaces with myself, right? And I think that's the practice that I have been doing for years, and I think it's just natural for me to take that on, additionally, and put myself on that plate of reflection and say, how am I doing as a person?
Yeah.
I've even brought that reflection piece into our family, and we do that quite often as a family. And especially every year we sit down as the 5 of us, and we actually reflect on a piece of paper. We have a wonderful discussion. It's often during our holidays, so we take time intentionally to give each other feedback. I like the questions when there are 2 of them. One is, what must dad do less of? What must dad do more of? It's a simple question, right?
Yeah.
But it's enlightening, and that is what I write, and each of my family member write that of me as well. And man, you've got to be really open to really listen in to those feedback, because it's coming,
Yeah.
the people you live
Yeah. It
with.
Yeah, the people you love and you live with. Yeah. And the thing that's really showing up for me as you're speaking is just the degree of bravery and courage it takes
Thank you.
to allow yourself to hear the reflection that may or may not be the reflection you have of yourself.
Yeah.
And just how beautiful that is that you've created that kind of space with your family where you are all given permission to share, you know, your experience of what you need more of, and
Yeah.
also what maybe I could have a little less of in the coming
Yeah.
year. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that really fits with that sense of also of awareness, and awareness of, I don't know, of the kind of person that you're showing up as and who you want to be, and there's an intentionality there, that is really powerful. How does how do you then show up with your clients in a similar kind of way?
Well, you mentioned, Lyssa, the word brave, and that word has a very deep meaning for me. I got that, I think, years ago when I yeah, when I saw how my grandfather lived his life, right? And just every week when I met him, I would hear those brave stories, and he was a beautiful storyteller, and I think from very young, I realized that I would, really wants to live my life this way. Right? He lived through every storm, Japanese occupation, and all of that, right? All of those trials. He had 20 or 19 children. It was just crazy. Um, and very little I realized the importance of that communal sharing in the center, where someone speaks and you listen. It's part and parcel of life, I think. That whole circle around the campfire, right? Why that is so um, important in our culture. We the talking stick, right? Everything that comes about in conversation, when you allow that person that holds that stick to say his or her piece. And I think that is where it came about. That whole respect and care and love for the person that holds the stick, because whatever he or she says is honorable and has a right to be heard. And that's what I think I guess I bring into that coaching space. It is that you are very important, and what you're saying is very important for me to really listen into. And I guess that the curiosity, right? That the whole thing that I'm so wanting for you to be you, versus trying to be that head of department, head of company that you think you need to be and show up that brave. So to me, that brave is not showing up as the CEO. That brave is showing up as you in a conversation. I think that's how that environment needs to be, and that's what we value. We value the stories that they are sharing. Every one of them is important. There's no little story. There is no more important story. Everything that they share has something rich behind it, and it comes out. It's whether we're listening. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that idea of just being with somebody and wanting to really hear their story, that is honestly been my experience of you in every encounter that I've had with you, is that you very, very adeptly hold that space of curiosity, but also to allow the other person to really come forward. And for me, that really speaks to holding that person as whole, capable, resourceful, creative, right? And also important, and valuable. And so I really see you model that in the interviews that I've listened and watched of yours, and just how I've experienced you personally. And I appreciate that, and I really think that that is something that is so underappreciated, because
Mm,
so many people don't have anybody that will listen to the stories. And in a way, what a gift that becomes, to be the person who can hold that kind of space with another human being.
totally.
Yeah.
The importance of, I often say this: we could be the only person in their life, listening to them at that level, and not just butt in with our comments and, you know, cut them short and add in ours. We get that everywhere else, to be frank. Even in conversations we have with our closest friends. I mean, because of their care and concern for us, if we're sharing about a challenge that we are going through, they would say, come on, you know, you gotta do this for yourself, you know, come on, yeah, you know, and they do it with the right intention as well, Lyssa. Yeah, I'm sure you and I know that, but when we ask ourselves, what did we need from that conversation, was just that space for someone just listening to me, you know, and not just cut me off or assume that you know where I'm hitting with what I'm saying. You know, it's like, yeah, it's all right, you know, it's yeah, come on, you know, and then they share their thoughts, right? It's like, I don't know, when I went through the similar challenge, like, okay, you take over my story now. Here we go. Let's see where you go with my story. You know,
I'm feeling so heard right now.
That's right. You know, thank you. And I bought the coffee on top of that, you know. So, like, might as well just gone when you know, got a coffee for myself and just gone to the bush, you know, and just walked. You know, that would have been more helpful. I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean. It's
I
that
do.
space. It's that space.
You know, honestly, I think you work with upcoming coaches, and I know I do also. And I think what you're speaking to right now is one of the most important developmental stages, where we stop with oh, I'm hearing you're feeling XYZ. Oh, when I was going through it, XYZ, like insert here all of my stuff. And I absolutely appreciate you bringing that forward, because I think it's so crucial to actually showing up and holding the space for another human being. What are you passionately involved with right now?
Well, you said it before. It's working with the younger generation of coaches coming in, and it's not about the age, right? It's just, you know, the new ones walking into coaching, and I just love that. Again, you know, I get to play a little bit of a mentor, so you know, that excites me still.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's kind of nice.
kind of nice,
but it's the right role for the right situation also.
That's
right.
That's right. So here I can talk a little bit more, okay? But yeah, just seeing them come into this space, and you know, as you were saying before, that the world that we're living in is unlike what we lived through over the last 2 decades, right? At least that's changed. And to be frank, what my thoughts are of them for their future actually carries little weight when you think about it, because the world is not the same anymore.
Right.
And
it could be completely different in a year.
Absolutely. So that passion about equipping the coaches, not just with that toolkits and models and processes and all of that core competencies and all of that's so important, and yet on this other side is just releasing them out there. It's just like this proud parent saying, off you go on your bike, you know, you can find balance now, right? I'll see you off into the sunset, still cheering, clapping for you and saying, I'm here for you. And just be able to know that we're creating this little ripple effects everywhere we go. And I think it's just, you know, I think coaching, or the impact of coaching changes and brings shifts to lives out there. And I think, you know, just being a part of that makes me come alive. Just being able to be part of that ripple effect that will continue and continue and continue through those conversations is the one that I'm really passionate about. So we have a mission to equip 10,000 coaches that impacts 10 million people. And that's the ripple I'm talking about over the next 20 years. So that's our mission. And I think that only can be achieved when we realize that the buck doesn't stop here, right? It continues through the lives of everyone you and I touch. And I think that's the power of and the multiplication of the impact. So that excites me, Lyssa.
Yeah, that's incredibly exciting. Well, and as we come to a close in our conversation today, I'm closing out with a question to everybody, which is, if you were writing your autobiography, and I almost want to tell you what I think your autobiography would be called, but I'm not going to, because that's not what coaches do. But what would the title of your autobiography be if you were to write one right now?
Well, that word comes up again. It's brave, right? But it's not the brave that you and I think it ought to be. It's the brave that people need to or begin to want to walk into, right? It's that level of brave that they're comfortable at walking into as well, right? So it's not being a crazy stunt person jumping off planes, brave, not Tom Cruise, by the way. So
which I'm sure he's brave also, but different kind of brave.
It's just appreciating the different brave out there and not discounting it on top of that. Not kind of saying that brave wasn't brave enough, but that was good brave because that was your brave. And imagine a world where every one of us walk into our brave. I think that will be a beautiful world. Like for me, I have a heart for Africa. I've been there a couple of times, and I look forward to going back there sometime in a couple of months. Actually, I'll be going back there, and I realized that that's my level of brave. It's going to a place that I feel like I have zero knowledge, zero context, zero understanding, and yet realize that the connecting piece is that I'm just visiting another beautiful, brave human being on the other side of the earth, and just being a catalyst to that particular person at that point of time, so that person then continues that brave in his or her life. So that excites me. That is that story that I hope and pray will continue to resonate to my last breath. So brave.
Beautiful. Mel, thank you so very much for being on the coaching studio today. I have absolutely enjoyed spending this time with you.
Oh, thank you so much, Lyssa, for the work that you do. It's just amazing. Continue your brave as well, Lyssa.
I know, I love that, stepping into my brave, right? Just being brave. I think that's it's the journey of a lifetime.
Yeah.